Folks, welcome to Chewing the Gristle, the podcast with yours truly, Gregory S. Koch, Esquire, also known as Gregory Kochery in some circles. It's brought to you by our friends at Fishman transducers, if you will, and it features just random conversations with various guitar and music friends, just kind of shooting the breeze or chewing the gristle, if you will. Due to my road work, we're going to stay away from seasons, but we're going to drop these as they become available. We appreciate you tuning in these years. We're going to keep on doing this as long as we can, folks. If you're enjoying them, we're enjoying them. Can you dig it? Let's chew the gristle. This week on Chewing the Gristle with yours truly, Gregory Kochery, we have the mighty Brett Papa. You've seen him online. His glorious content of instructional activity. Both his courses and the ones he produces with a bunch of other Nashville heavyweights. He's a guitar player extraordinary. He's an amp guru. He's a tone smith. He's a cool cat. He's Brett Papa, ladies and gentlemen, this week on Chewing the Gristle. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, once again, we gather around the gristle fire for a convivial musical repartee. And today, the mighty Brett Papa has joined us from his beautiful domicile in Nashville, or shall we say, Franklin, Tennessee.
Yes.
Where I have been a somewhat recent visitor, and we've been working on a course. But of course, Brett, for all of you out there who know, or maybe some of you don't know, guitar player extraordinaire, also instructor extraordinaire, a very intuitive producer of great instructional content. Not only does he produce stuff by himself that is great, but he also knows how to coax it out of the visitor to bring their best nuggets to the fore. And he's also an amp guru. He does all kinds of stuff. He's a hell of a nice fella. Brett, what's going on in there? What's going on?
Not much about yourself, man.
You know what? I'm home for a minute and just kind of getting used to be home before I have to go back on the road again. But I'm looking forward to seeing you in a couple weeks here.
Of course, me too, man. It's always a hoot having you out. And I just got back from our local breakfast spot.
Oh, delicious.
Exactly.
I look forward to frequenting that place once again.
Exactly. Oh, man. Are you home like 3 days a year? It seems like every time I talk to you, you're out amongst the folks.
Well, it's been a little crazy this year. We got back for this one tour. Now we're home for a little under a month.
Okay.
And then we go out for 6 weeks. And then this summer, I've got stuff here and there.
Yeah.
But not a bunch of stuff as far as tours in the summer. But then we go to Europe for about 6 weeks in the fall.
Okay.
And then I'm going to need a little break. I enjoy it, but doggone it. It's, when you're doing it, it's fine.
Right.
It's when, and actually the first day that you get back, it's okay. You get a bunch of shit done. You wake up the next morning, you get everything done. You're paying bills. You're running errands. It's like the day after you get back that you just all of a sudden like, oh my God, I feel like I'm 1,000 years old.
Yeah, I can imagine, man. You are nonstop. It's impressive.
But I like the rock, Brett. I like the rock.
Well, how can you not? I mean, that's what keeps the world going around these days. So
that is a fact. So what you been up to lately? What's the latest? You're just doing stuff nonstop yourself there in the lair. You got Guthrie coming in. You got Tom. You got your own stuff.
Right after this, Kenny Wayne's coming in to finish up his stuff. And then we are going to actually, he and I are going to be like he has this awesome studio that we're going to be using together too. And so we're going to do our first band session there, which I would love to have your band in at some point.
That'd be awesome.
And test that out. So we're super pumped about that. And yeah, I'm in the middle of like 5 different courses, and it's always these days, because you guys are so in demand, it's more of a scheduling game than anything because everyone's always on the road or in sessions. And
yes.
So when it does happen, it is amazing. But
tell us a little bit about how you got into this whole thing.
So when I was a kid, I grew up in Corona Del Mar, and one of the kids I rode the bus was Marty Schwartz. And so, I worked in a different job. Like it was funny because Marty didn't play guitar until I think a senior in high school, maybe. And so, I never really thought of it. I was in bands all of high school and did that whole bit. And we were kind of friends, like we were in a bunch of classes together. We had mutual friends. And so, many, many years later, he came back from, I think he went to school in New Mexico, and we reconnected, and he was this awesome guitar player. And so I would see him now and again. And then it wasn't until I had a job. I was working at an alternative medical clinic that would get out super late. And there was only one place in our town that was open late. And Marty's band was playing at the time. And this is all before YouTube.
Right.
So we reconnected then. And he ended up playing our wedding. And I remember asking him, like, what's up, man? I mean, what are you doing? He's like, man, I don't know. That, it's in a really rough spot with music. And he was teaching, I think, in an elementary school or something like that. And he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but there's this thing called YouTube. And I was like, YouTube? What is that? And so anyways, he ended up doing that. And then I remember talking to him about 6 months after that. And I'm like, man, how's the YouTube thing going or whatever? And he started laughing. And I was like, whoa, this must be like a real thing, And so he got into it. And he was like a jam bandy blues kind of dude. And he never played metal. So he called me one day. And he's like, come down and teach some Aussie and that kind of stuff. And I went down and I shot some videos for his channel. And it just kind of started like that. He was always super good about, kind of letting me know how he was doing it and like let me know how to do the entire thing. And so I felt very fortunate from the day one. And it was like my out. I was like 33, maybe 34. And I had just had a kid. And I was building amps for Divided by 13 at the time. I was like Fred's right-hand guy for years. But I was still like, dude, I don't want to do this forever. And so when I saw that opportunity, I was like, I'm going to try this, and I know it can make money and I know there's a future. It was that kind of stroke, that entrepreneurial little thing in me. And I was like, I could do this, and so bought a camera and I just started posting videos. And after a while, one of my, this guy, Scott, that I worked with at Divided by 13, he had this buddy of his named John, who was a marketing guru. And he wanted to have a meeting with me one time. And he was like, man, I don't know if you know about how the internet works and how lucrative, having a business online can be. And I was like, really? I was watching Marty do this, but like wasn't really thinking about, the business aspect of it. Like everybody, I'm like, oh, I'll just get online and post, YouTube videos and then magically it'll happen. And
right.
So anyways, after that meeting, it really opened my eyes to like the potential. And so Marty and I ended up working together for a long time. And then between this guy, John, and Marty and other people kind of teaching me how you actually make money online, then it kind of took off. And then from there, that's when I met Tim Pierce through Divided by 13.
Right.
And he was the first like guest, I remember going up to his house and talking to Fred. I'm like, you think Tim would ever give me like a guitar lesson? He's like, yeah, maybe. So he called Tim and we had to deliver an amp up to him anyways. And so when I went to deliver the amp to him, then I asked him, I'm like, hey man, have you ever thought about doing YouTube? Because I got on YouTube and there's like 5 videos of you and they're not that good, like you should be online or whatever. And so then we started working together, and that's how like what I'm doing with you and Kenny and Tom and everybody, that's how that whole thing took that kind of turn. Because at some point I was like, I would imagine that being a person, much like in a band or anything like that, I would imagine that at some point there's a limited life cycle of, me online or whatever by myself. And so early on I was like, what if I built this other thing, and really brought in pros, like people actually doing this for a living, because teachers are great. But like the one thing that I loved about the early like REH videos and stuff like that, it was like George Lynch and Paul Gilbert and like real players, and so that was, from a kid, I was like, I need to be doing that and bringing in the like real people that have really done stuff and really know how to tour and really, and no offense against teachers, because there are so many good teachers out there. But like, I wanted people that sounded like a rock record.
Sure, I got you.
That's the licks I want people to learn. And then I want to be the guy next to them asking all the questions I wish I could ask, those guys in the video, like George Lynch, like, wait, you're blowing past this one part, giving no context whatsoever, Yeah,
and you're really good at that. You're really good at hey, what's that thing?
Yeah, exactly. Everybody always gets bummed at me, like, you interrupted. I'm like, but if I didn't, it's blowing by like 5 or 10 things that, that's why I love, like, when you're here, anybody, it's like I'm sitting right next to the person looking at them play from an angle that most people don't see too. A lot of times, when it's on YouTube, you're looking at somebody straight off, but you don't see all the things that are happening with their picking hand and all these like random things that they do that really make a difference. Like Kenny Wayne was over here yesterday filming his course, and I was like, wait, stop. And because I was trying to he does those like really killer, like first position, minor pentatonic, like all these bending runs, and he's so freaking good at it. And I was always wondering, like, how does he get that timing? And like, so we were breaking down those kind of licks. And then the angle I was sitting at, I started watching him and seeing that his thumb was down and he was jumping back to the bass string to like set up the timing of these licks. And it's something I would have never have seen.
Right.
Had I not been right next to him. So, that's in a nutshell, long story long, that was been the whole YouTube journey, but it's been amazing, man. And now we're getting into bringing in bands, and
I love it. I love it all.
Yeah.
Well, talk a little bit about like, just from, because a lot of people are curious about this. And I know I was for a long time. And is that when you're just doing stuff on YouTube, before you branched out on having stuff hosted at your own website and so on and so forth, has the monetary thing changed from just being a YouTube person in terms of the amount that a lot of people are like, well, where are you making money from? You're making money from because you're, X, Y, and Z.
Okay, so there's 2 schools of thought. To really make money off of YouTube, there's 3 different ways that you can do it. So one, if you've got a big crowd, you've got like large amounts of views, think like Rick Beato, Rhett Scholl, these guys that consistently have, 200,000 plus views per video, some in the millions. And if you have a big enough crowd, like we'll use Rick for an example, he's got 5 million followers or whatever. Yeah. The views can equate to good amount of money, right? And then you start getting in those strategies. You can tell when somebody's video is taking off because it's like, first there's the video that it's like 3 seconds to opt out of, right? And then it's like the 15-second video. And then there's the one that you can't get out of at all. Right. And so you're getting into different hierarchies of money. So that's one way you can do it, but you have to have a lot of views to make money. I think the math is somewhere between like $1,500 to $2,000 per million views, I think, or something.
Okay.
It used to be like that. The other way you can do it is if you're on YouTube, you get a lot of traffic, but don't necessarily know anything about online marketing. Then you can maybe, since you have eyeballs, you can turn your views into monetization through companies, right? So like you'll see a lot of people that do demos and stuff like that. So you can use your crowd to make money that way, So sure. maybe you're making $1,000 a month on YouTube, which is great, it pays bills or whatever. But maybe you can get $1,500 per demo. Or whatever it is. So some of these guys will do a bunch of demos. Maybe they do 2 or 3 of those, a week, and that's a good living, right?
Sure.
Mine's completely opposite of that. Like in the beginning, I really paid attention to YouTube as a way to get a crowd. But I also knew from the marketing and through what Marty told me and through what my buddy John told me that build an email list, because that's what they, marketing, they would call it is a warm lead. It's already people interested in you.
Right.
So from the beginning, that was my focus rather than building a big YouTube thing. I mean, I hardly, except when like you're in town or Guthrie or I'm shooting, of course, I hardly utilize YouTube that much anymore. I may post personally like once every 4 months, on YouTube now, because this other business is just a completely different thing. It's
my son preaches about the mailing list.
Dude, it's everything. I mean, it's literally magnitudes of hundreds when you get a good email list. depending on your crowd, for the average person, right? Because I have friends that, some friends that I am in circles with. Yeah, some of them make 50 grand a month off of YouTube ad revenue. That's insane. That's amazing.
Right.
But it's so hard to get there. You know what I mean? Where this other vehicle is almost a fail safe too, because what happens if you get kicked off of YouTube? You know what I mean?
For whatever reason,
dead, right? You'll have to find some other avenue to get online and build a crowd and that whole thing again, and that's so hard to do. So this other way of getting emails and being able to commute with or communicate with people directly is more what I've found.
The thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a thing. I mean, it works. And then when you teach others, like, my whole thing is Marty taught me, totally gracious, back when we had nothing to do with each other, and just really drilled into my head, do this. And so since he's done it, that's what I do with everybody I brand. It's like, no, you're your own brand. You're your own thing. Let me show you how this works. You go do it. And then when we work together, it's even better because now you've got your own crowd, and we'll, cross-pollinate our crowds, and
right.
Turns into this amazing way to make a living. And now, my dream was to play the world, but man, I've met lots of people that play the world. And now I'm like, I can make just as much money sitting at home.
Right.
Having people come to my house and really like having fun without without having to go out and physically be somewhere to make money, Yeah. So
it's fascinating.
That's my thing, man. And also I just love it, man. It's like fun. It's like, I think the fun thing is, when people come in to do courses and stuff, it's almost like being a kid again. You're in the house jamming with a buddy. You know what I mean? Yeah. It kind of gets back to that pure state where it's, I don't know, it just feels more organic again. Not that making albums and doing that stuff isn't, but like as an adult, I've been fortunate enough to not have to have that other thing be my source of income. And now I really play music. Like now I get to be able to sit at home and just do it for fun,
Yeah.
And, this other thing is, taking on a life of its own. So.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing when you find that niche where, you never wake up and go, oh, I got to do that today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like awesome.
Yeah. My wife always jokes about it, and she's like, yeah, your job's just fun, and I'm like, yeah, man, it really is. Like, it's very, very rare that I wake up and don't want to do this,
Sure. I'm the same way. I love doing it.
And so that's the great thing, like about you two. You found a way that you can really do you get to travel with your son and like really have fun doing it your own way, and that's so hard in the music industry to be the master of your own destiny.
Right.
Even large bands. And I know because I deal with a lot of these people, they still almost have a boss, and I try to tell people, because I've met enough bands where they've kind of cultivated their own cult following. I'm like, you can kind of make just the same amount of money or better sometimes with your own smaller crowd when you're not, splitting all these revenue streams with a bunch of different people, what I mean?
And having a massive overhead.
Yep. You're just straight to the source. You know what I mean? So you can pack up your van, get your merch, go out, and you're making the money,
Exactly.
You're not splitting it with anybody. And so
that's the facts.
Yeah. And so the way that you're doing it is brilliant too, and other bands, so eventually, I think we're moving to trying to show people that whole thing too. Like, hey, it doesn't have to be the typical way to make it. You know what I mean? And then, the best thing about that too is when you're able to cultivate your own crowd, you can go to different states. You've got eyeballs on your YouTube channel. When a record company or somebody in the business world sees that you're already something on your own, then they're happy to do something with you because they're like, oh, this is already they've already proven
our work's already done.
Yeah, totally. You don't have to do anything but collect money. But they can help you to get to that next, that next tier that might be hard to get, to. I mean, I think it's totally viable for people in our sphere to definitely get to like the 1,000 seat and below. That is, you could totally do that.
Yeah.
And that next tier, maybe the 2500s, it's like, maybe you can work with a small label and you're still like bros. And maybe you just find some people, in your sphere that are good at business,
Right.
And then that next level, obviously that's a whole different ball of wax, but it's not always all it's cracked up to be.
Well, exactly. That's the point I've made to many folks. It's like, even though, we're going out and we're doing some opening slots for some folks.
Yeah.
And, and it's just the three of us and the gristle missile.
Yeah, exactly.
And, working our own merch, doing the whole thing. And then I see what goes on with the other band. It's like, yeah, you got a bus, but, buses are a lot of money.
Bro, it's thousands a day.
Yeah, literally. And then, they stay on the bus and then they shower at the venues.
Yeah.
And if the venue doesn't have shower, they might get one hotel room and have a runner to go back and forth. And, there's like 11 people on the bus and you're like, damn, I don't know if I could deal with that. So
no. Yeah.
It's a lot, but and then to your point, it's like, I always say it's like, listen, if you can draw 100 people in every crowd in every town that you go to, then you have a decent ticket price and low overhead. Mm-hmm. You're going to sell a shit ton of merch. You're going to make enough money to make a middle class living. Yeah, no problem.
Absolutely, with doing it on your own terms.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Which I don't think people realize that psychological toll.
Right.
That, having to do your life, your music, your art on someone else's terms is that's a weird spot to be in.
It is, no doubt about it. I mean, literally, when I say to people, because they're like, you're getting me, because I'm going to be 60 this year, believe it or not.
Oh my gosh,
I'm going to be the big 6-0, and people are like, God, how can you be doing that? You're in a lot of people who are older than I am, or or are the same age. You have stopped doing much, in terms of playing, other than maybe once or twice a month or whatever. Man, how do you do it? I'm like, dude, I show up at a place, and the only reason why people are coming there is to come see me do my thing. I'm with my kid. I'm with another guy I like being around who's a great musician. We play at 8:00 at night. I work the merch table, talk to a bunch of people who are glad to be there and are hyped that I'm taking the time to talk to them. I play the gig. I play whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
And at the end, I go back out of the merch table, say, hi, how are you? And then we go to the warm bosom of the Hampton Inn and get a little sweet complimentary cookie and chamomile tea in the evening, and then wake up to a sumptuous fake egg and mystery meat breakfast. What more do you want?
No, I mean, that's life. That is the peak life experience right there.
But what's nice too is being able to stop when you want to stop. You know what I mean? And just do it.
Well, if you want to, when you're seeing the country or countries, on your and actually being able to, like you're saying, like, well, maybe there's a couple days between gigs, like we can go, let's go see some cool stuff,
Exactly.
Which is amazing.
Like another Hampton Inn.
Yeah, exactly. What's a Hampton in Germany like? Yeah. Totally.
Oh, I posted a thing not too long. It was during the Grammys, and you'll have people on Instagram, posting, I'm at the Grammys and da la la la, or I just won my Grammy. And I posted a picture of us. We were on the road somewhere. It's the middle of winter. And I said, I haven't won a Grammy, but by God, I'm a Diamond member.
That's a feat.
Diamond member parking spot.
Oh, that is amazing. Oh, God.
Hashtag goals.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Which I think that's so cool, man. You get to do that. I mean, what a treat what a cool life.
Clean fun. Well, let's talk about how you got from California to Nashville. What was that whole change like?
So once I started working with Tim Pierce and doing that kind of thing, I was totally enamored with the session world. And kind of on a fluke, we had this one kid who came here and just absolutely freaking killed it when he got to town. But his name was Andrew Drew Roberts. He came in because he was touring with like a American Idol kid or something like that, and simultaneously working for Gibson doing something. And he came in and he's like, and I was super into the session world, but really oblivious to other places. Like I knew all about the LA session world, but not anywhere else. And he came in and he's like, man, have you ever heard of this guy, Tom Bukovac? And I was like, no. And so this was when Tom had like 4 videos online. This was probably, God, man, it was probably at least, 14 years ago or something like that. And I saw him and I was like, holy crap, who is this dude? So I went, of course, straight back to Tim and I'm like, what's up with Nashville?
Right.
And so he started telling me about some of these guys. And then there was a pedal, which is funny because it was back in the day, it was Mark Lettieri, like before his whole thing super took off.
Right.
It was this Nobles pedal from this. Yeah, right. From Rocket and pedals. And so that one wasn't being made. And there was a company called XTS, which is a pedal board company out here who does everyone's boards. And I called that company and I was like, hey, man, my name is Brett. And he's like, hold on. He's like, I already know who you are. And he's like, you've saved me so many hours learning songs. I'm just going to send you one of these pedals. And by the way, if you ever come to Nashville, look me up, we'll hang out and I'll introduce you to some people. And I was like, well, shoot, there's kind of my in. And so simultaneously, we had some family move out here. And we came out to visit one 4th of July. And this is probably 10 years ago. And my wife's like, man, why don't you just spend like 3 or 4 more days out here on your own? Go meet this guy and see if anything happens. And so I did that. And literally the first day I walk in to meet Greg and we're talking, and then like Rob McNally, who's like another huge session guy, and Jed Hughes, and all of these people walk through the shop like on a random day. And so I got to hang out and talk to all these people. And then I started doing something with Rob McNally. Like we started working together. I told him what I did, and he was super interested in doing this back in the day, but he was so busy that never really took off. But he was one of the persons I met. And then he introduced me to Kenny Greenberg, who's another, legend out here. And so I started doing videos with Kenny, and I started getting kind of a foothold out here. And then Greg is like, hey, there's a guy, Guthrie Trapp. You need to meet this guy. And I was like, okay. And so randomly, it was on the next trip out that, Greg, the owner of XTS, Rob McNally and his band used to play at this place called the Family Wash. And it was like, it was one of those experiences where it was like my first trip out, I saw, I saw 2 performances that were just so mind bending that I was like, and it was a Wednesday night. And I'm like, if I can go from one club to another club and see 2 world-class bands on a Wednesday night for free.
Right.
I was like, I have got to move here. So every Wednesday night, Rob's band would play at that Family Wash. And so my next trip out, I went to the Family Wash, flew in on a Wednesday night, went straight to the Family Wash, and Guthrie was at the end of the bar. And so I went up and I just introduced myself to Guthrie and talked to him for a little bit. And, we kind of talked, and he invited me to a gig, and I saw a gig. And then I just kept coming back out like every 6 to 8 weeks because, it really started to take off. I started to meet all these people, and Ford Thurston and all of these other people through this place at XTS. And, eventually I reconnected with Guthrie, and then Guthrie's like, man, why don't you just stay at my house when you come out? And Guthrie knows everybody on the planet,
right.
And like, he knows every good restaurant. He knows, like, this is why his thing that he's doing in Trapped in Nashville is so awesome, because he literally knows all the best food, all the best everything. Right. Super fun hang. And so I was like, well, hell yeah. Now I can go and I can just stay at Guthrie's house and we'll go out. And, we became super good friends, and then it just kind of progressed like that, and then I think the first person I worked with from out here was Corey Congilio. And he had done a course with me in California, but I started doing stuff again with him when I first arrived here. And I guess at that point, my wife was like, okay, this could work. This is a thing that you could do out here. And I was like, Sherry, this is like shooting fish in a barrel for what I do. I mean, they're everywhere, and
right.
stuff. It kind of started slowly like that. And then, when I first moved out, Guthrie was in kind of a contract and all that stuff. So some of these people were just kind of like, they couldn't do stuff at the time. And I was like, crap, I'm just going to go for it, like I did before. And just one thing led to another. And Jeff McErlane came out and he introduced me to some people, and I just started doing courses, going with those kind of people. And then eventually, after about 3 or 4 years, probably 3 years, I started doing stuff with Tom here and there, and once that whole world started opening up, that changed everything. Once Guthrie and Tom and stuff and courses like that really started to take hold, it was like a completely different thing. And now it's just on fire, which is awesome. But that was kind of, it took, the Nashville thing took 10 years,
Right.
Everybody's always like, I'm just gonna come to town, I'm gonna be a session guitar player. And I'm like, well, talk to me in 10 years.
It's a 10-year time.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I mean, I was lucky enough that I came already knowing a bunch of people, and really, doing this and any of this kind of work, you have to be okay just being helpful to people, and not expecting anything in return. I didn't ask any of these guys like, hey, can I, you know what I mean? Like I if they wanted to do something, yes, when and where, I will be there. Hey, can I help, promote you? Like all just for free. You know what I mean? With no expectations of anything. And eventually, learning to talk to these people, almost kind of opening their mind to seeing themselves as a brand. They're like, what? Some of these people, like when I met Guthrie, they were so focused on what's happening in Nashville. I'm like, Guthrie, dude, there's a whole world outside of here. And, if you're already one of the best guys in Nashville, but you're so, those guys, a lot of those guys were so worried about this pool.
Right.
And when you're here, the level of talent is so high that you almost they take for granted how good they really are,
Right. Sure.
And opening their eyes to like, man, there's a whole other world, try doing this on YouTube, try doing this, try doing that. And then letting them see that, oh my God, there is this whole other place.
Exactly.
That it's been great, man. And so, yeah, it's been amazing. I'm super fortunate. And yeah, I got tons of stuff. I'm super pumped working with you. Kenny introduced us, which has been great. And yeah, man, it's been amazing. So
it's a crazy small world.
Yeah, it's been awesome. So
yeah, it's so wild. You're mentioning all those names. Like I've known Guthrie for a long time, Mark Lettieri, Jeff McErlane, all these guys. It's crazy small world.
Just monster players. And you know what's great about all of those guys? I'm so stoked because every single person I have worked with has been so freaking cool. You know what I mean? Like super humble, super good at what they do, just zero ego and just fun, so that really helps with the, what I do is just like, it really is just getting paid for having fun, And
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to this thing in Scotland we're doing.
Oh my God. I keep asking myself, I'm like, what the hell am I going to do? I got you and Tom and Guthrie and Eric Johnson and Robbie McIntosh. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm going to teach anybody anything. I'm like, maybe I'll just bring a camera and just film. But
it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, man. I can't wait. I mean,
it's going to be a blast.
Yeah.
Is your wife going?
No, I didn't know that was a thing. And so we might actually go to Italy first and then just go to Scotland. So we're going to make a trip out of it anyways. But yeah, next time. So
yeah, my wife's
like, I want to go. And I'm like, I don't know if you can go. And then you told me your wife was going. I was like, oh, okay. I guess the wives can go.
Yeah. Of course, I don't know about your wife, but my wife has, the last thing she wants to do is hang out and hear guitars all day.
Oh, dude. My wife could care less. She always like, whenever we're talking about going out at night to go see a band, and she's like, is it going to be like diddly, diddly, diddly all night? And I'm like, yeah, you're going to hate it. And so we typically, unless it's a band she likes, we typically don't go to music stuff or a little like, we're all friends with Kenny. So we'll go watch Kenny play or something.
Sure.
But typically, yeah, we don't go out to shows together. So, and I was like, it's going to be a lot of that in Scotland. So
it'd be a lot of Although it sounds like the place is beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, Guthrie said it was amazing. So he was the one that kind of hit me to the whole thing and introduced me to Tony. So, yeah, I'm just pumped. I'm super stoked and honored they invited me. So,
oh, it's going to be glorious. We're actually going to stay around for a couple of days afterward.
Oh yeah,
and just kind of hang out in Scotland for an extra few days.
Yeah, how could you not? I mean,
and of course that's hoping that the world is still intact by then. But you know, we'll see what happens.
Well, you're on kind of a secluded island a little bit, maybe. At least that part, you know. How could you be mad?
Never a dull moment.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah, I was going to talk to you a little bit about what I find fascinating anyways, about how you just get used to, with your particular brand of content, like what stuff takes off and what stuff doesn't. Mm-hmm. And the whole idea of like, sometimes you'll post things like, man, this is really good stuff.
Yeah.
And you're like, and it doesn't really do anything. And then something that you were like, really? It goes haywire.
Oh,
and now
sure.
Have you sussed the science of it, or is it? I know when I was hanging out with old Beato, man, that guy, he's so obsessed with doing everything he possibly can to make every video do as best as it probably can. But I'm more of the mind of, you know, you throw shit against the wall, and if it sticks, let the good times roll.
100%. So Beato, Marty, Rhett, guys like that, they are serious about YouTube, like posting a video, like within 15 minutes, changing, you know, titles, and it's religion to them, you know what I mean? And so, and they're super good at it. Rick, you know, he knows people at Google, and so he knows the whole game, and he is brilliant at it. I mean, he really, and you know, all of those guys are such hard workers, you know what I mean?
It's insane.
And it's like they are so focused on it. And me, I don't care about how many views things get. I'm probably the opposite of the spectrum, maybe more like you. As a business owner, I look for what people are saying in the videos. So like, in the comments, like maybe a video only gets, you know, say 10,000 views, right? But there's 200 comments of people like, oh my God, you know, because sometimes videos are sleepers. You'll put a video out and it does nothing, but then like years later,
boom. Yep.
For some reason it catches on, and you know what I mean? So, as a business owner, that is what I really love about YouTube is, it's instant feedback. So I don't look at metrics for, views. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about what people are saying and the randomness of it. Yeah. I mean, the videos we shot of you know, I don't do shorts very often, but I shot a video of you and a video of Bukovac in that back sunroom over here, just playing through an amps, and those things just, I mean, like completely took off, you know? And it was like no teaching, no nothing, just jamming through an amp, you know? And so there's certain topics that I know will do well kind of no matter what, because it's something that's universally opens people's eyes to playing guitar. Like it's one of those things where you're like, oh my God, why didn't anybody ever show me this? So I know how to kind of like, there's a few things that everybody's always interested in. So I know that anytime I do videos on that kind of stuff, there's kind of gold to be had there. But man, a lot of it is, I mean, you're competing against algorithms and people's attention spans, you know?
Right.
So I think my thinking behind all this was, don't worry about what YouTube is saying. Cultivate what you want your audience to be into. Right. I wanted my audience to be super stoked on long form content. I don't want to do shorts. I want people to hang out, feel like they're sitting in my room, you know, my living room with me, with one of the best guitar players on the planet. Like we're hanging, we're having a beer, we're chilling out, we're doing, you know, that's what I want my videos to feel like. And so I don't think about any of that other stuff. And when I meet people all over the country, I can tell that works because they come up and that's exactly what they say.
Sure. And let's be honest, if you have millions of views and it's clickbaity, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But if you have no matter how many views, but if those people are really engaged and are with you, it's like, that's almost more important because they're going to support you as opposed to just being fly by night clickers.
Yeah. I rather have 1,000 diehard fans than a million that could care less. You know?
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, it's, as a business owner, that's the kind of stuff you got to pay attention to because, I mean, let's face it, that's what I do for a living. So, while it's fun, you got to kind of pay attention to what works. And, but, bringing in players like you and all these other guys, it's really cool because you can see what what universally opened up really good guitar players' eyes. I mean, obviously, it's always practice. Everybody always looks for that magic bullet and is like, no, these guys practice for probably like 50,000 hours. That's why they're freaking good. Played in a million bands, thousands of shows. But yeah, you get to see like, oh, look, he does that too. He does that. You know what I mean? So I kind of keep that in the back of my mind. My goal is what is going to help somebody get better at guitar, not what's going to get me 10,000 views.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's absolutely.
Yeah.
And I always kind of ask people this question during these podcasty things obviously, to me, you'll get a lot of old school people. I just saw a post the other day, and it was someone kind of bemoaning the social media culture in respect to the music industry and how the music industry at this particular point in time, which let's be honest, it's always been a business that's been, they want to make money.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, there was a time I was mentioning this the other day that it was, like that point in that one Frank Zappa video where he's talking about, at least back in the 60s, when the old cigar chomping old men ran the record labels, they're like, I don't know, put it out, see what happens. Yeah, and then more of their kids took over, and then it became, I don't know if that's too tangential, and then it became more of this, gate kept thing of so on and so forth. But
and it also, when Frank Zappa was doing it, nobody could see what you look like, so the whole image of it, didn't matter.
Exactly. There's that as well.
Yeah.
But now we've got this, we got the internet and it's true where I think that, especially like a lot of, manufacturers, music instrument manufacturers and so on and so forth, they're more interested in, how many followers do you have on social media and so on and so forth. And I think the older school people who were just, more traditional artists, touring, doing the old fashioned way, they find that abhorrent and repellent to go online. They think it's like, not all of them, but some of them have kind of a chip on their shoulder where they're like, yeah, well, that's really kind of, self-aggrandizing or something. You're like, well, you're a musician. You're in the entertainment business. What are you talking about self-aggrandizing? But to me, I mean, there's good and bad and all that other kind of stuff. But it's like, if you cultivate, as you were just talking about, if you cultivate your crowd doing what you love to do, then you have established a direct contact with your clientele that wants to do the stuff that you want to make. Yeah. So therefore, it's worth the effort. It's not whoring yourself out. It's using the technology in a way to even have less constraints on your artistry.
100%. Well, yeah, I completely agree with that. And the other part of the old school mentality is, when we were kids, you'd open up the record, you'd see like maybe 10 pictures, and there was like a mystery.
Right.
And you were in a different world. You were almost like a god, you know what I mean? And you didn't have to deal with people. And I think a lot of these, not everybody, but let's face it, a lot of people in the music industry are as good as they are because their social skills aren't great.
Right.
And so
we're broken people.
Are curmudgeon-y people to begin with, and they really can't. They like a Don Henley or somebody like that, you know what I mean? They're so good at what they do, but they're just not nice, And so I think a lot of those people don't like it because they don't have people skills anyways. Their gig is their gig. They make a lot of money, and then they don't want to talk to anybody. They just want to walk out on the stage, see a full crowd, walk back, get on the plane, and go to the next town.
Sure.
They're making money, and that's what they want. And not everybody's like that. I mean, I've met some great people that are rock stars that are super cool.
Sure.
I'm a huge Creed fan, and we went and saw them the other night. And luckily, one of my friends, had backstage, and so we went back and we met Mark Tremonti or whatever. And it was the freaking coolest dude.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Super hang, like, dude, let's hang out. Like, invited us back. Like, hey, check out this guitar. Like it was just the most normal, down to earth person, you know. And it was like so funny to see him. Like, I listened to this band
right
for so long, was so pumped on it.
Let's go there.
Totally. Well, and just, you know, to me, it wasn't about like the singer. I was like, this guy writes the sickest guitar riffs, you know? And so anyways, but that, you know, so there are awesome people in the music industry, but I think that that's a lot of it. You know, they don't understand that world. They don't understand because they've been almost kept away from people as well.
Right.
Because, you know, the managers, it's funny because I've known a lot of managers too. And the psychology they have to kind of whip onto the band to keep everything, you know, 5 artists in a room, like focused and out the door at, you know, 11:45 exactly on the bus. Like, you know, they kind of almost shield people away. So I just don't, I think there's that disconnect, and where kids, you know, maybe that are, you know, let's say, I don't know. And they're, you know, I think it started catching on, maybe I would say people that were probably late 30s, you know, really like grasped that world. And those musicians that are, you know, 30 now or whatever, they kind of grew up in it, or
sure.
Facebook and Instagram and all these things, they saw, oh, wow, this is a way that I can use my band, but I can also kind of bypass these musical gatekeepers and go directly to the source.
Exactly.
And so I think a lot of people started figuring that out. And then it just opened the floodgates to everybody. You know what I mean? Right. Then it wasn't, you know, just bands. It was normal people could open the floodgates to everybody too. And now it's just, you know, absolute chaos out there. But the one thing that I support all of it, obviously, because I make a living doing it. But the only thing that I think that has been the thing that I personally feel that it's done in a negative effect, or the main thing I would say, is it made everybody focused on themselves. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's look at me jam, you know, shred on this song or whatever. And I feel like the band as a whole, it became more about the performance and not a song.
Sure.
You know? And I want it to go kind of the other way. Like, I've heard all of the performances I ever need to hear in my life, seen the most incredible guitar players ever, but damn it, I want Van Halen again, or I want a band that just, the songs are great and all that stuff. And it's you know, the song was good and it happened to have a great guitar player, or great drummer, or great whatever, or Led Zeppelin, and they're all great. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think social media has kind of made it more about, you know, me.
Sure.
You know? And I would say that's the only kind of thing that I think is the biggest downfall of it. But other than that, man, it's freaking insane. Like, and, you know, the ability, like, that you can just contact that
anyone.
person. Yeah,
exactly.
It's just like DM whoever it is, if their you know, if their messages are open, and they'll get back to you. You know?
Exactly.
Like, holy crap, this is amazing.
It is wild.
Yeah, and so I think it's cool, man. You know, people say the same thing about AI too, and this is a hot topic for everybody. But man, I think parts of it are really freaking cool.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Because like, as a songwriter, you know, myself or whatever, I can prompt it to ask it, what if it, you know, had this change, you know what I mean? Or like, what if it had like, and maybe I don't know what the change is, you know, like, what's another way I could take this chorus or something like that? And so you hear something that comes back to you. And so me, you know, 90% of the time when I write something, it's off of listening to music anyways. You know what I mean? It's like I'm learning a Van Halen song, and then suddenly my brain's like, whoosh, off into the cornfields, and I'm writing something else. And to me, that's kind of what it, you know, AI is to me as a tool. I think it's amazing. So my friend that I used to write a bunch of songs with, he's like, check this out. I put all of our songs in, and I did one country, and I did one metal, and I did one, and he sent it back, and I was like, wow, that's a trip. And some of the ways that it took the song, I was like, that's actually cool. I would have never thought of that.
Right. Sure.
And so, you know, it's like, okay, now that I've heard that, now my brain can actually write something that I do like, but that goes in that direction. You know what I mean? And so, man, I think all these things have their place, you know.
I like using AI for, just like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this record and I'm thinking about doing these tunes. I'm thinking about having this and this and this. What do you think?
Yeah.
And then it comes up with the pros and the cons.
Oh, for one, dude, as a business owner, we took like a pretty advanced AI course, my wife and I did. And I was like, I just want to see, there was this AI book, I think it's called the AI Driven Leader. And it was the first time I heard somebody talk about AI in a way that wasn't like, it'll write your emails for you, or whatever. This guy, he restructures multi-billion-dollar companies, and he was talking about it's his devil's advocate, or he can use it to see through the lens of the company that he's working with. You know what I mean? So
right.
He was the first time I heard him talk about, get the video transcript of the people that you're interested in, dump all their information you can find into their, language learning thing that you've created for this thing. And then, bounce ideas back off of it. Uh-huh. Where would they come in? What would their objections be? You know what I mean? And he's talked about this whole thing. And I was like, whoa, like what? That just started, and then he would talk about like, he would deal with in Asia too. And so over there, the culture is totally different. They're super into saving face. And so he talked about one of the deals with his Asian customer was like that the guy was super nervous. And he's like, I have to save face. I can't go ask these people for more money because it's like, I'm going to feel like I'm a failure. And so he ran the entire protocol through how do we save face but still get what we need, and he walked through this whole process, and I was like, holy crap, and then I took this course and this woman was saying all the different ways you can use it, and it was freaking mind-boggling how cool it can be if you use it in the right way. It's like anything else, if you go out and buy the freaking 58 Les Paul and a wicked Marshall, the tool is there, but unless you know how to play and get it out of it, it's just going to be a tool. And it's easy to just be like, oh, this thing sucks and, whatever. But man, you get in the right hands, you put that in your hands and it's like, oh, well, okay, I get it. You know what I mean? So
it's crazy. It's
all these really things are great. I think for musicians to be able to make it, it's never been easier because you have all the tools and the financial burden that used to be the major stumbling block, like recording, filming video, any of those things that you can have solid promotional material so that they can hear what your band sounds like. They can see what your band sounds like. They can, and then you, like you're saying, maybe what are the best markets? What markets can I, like AI, what markets, do these kinds of musics do well in? And it's like,
there it is, exactly.
Yeah, and it's like there it is. There's your spot, and so everybody here, I mean, it's unavoidable at this point. All the writers in town, like they're all using it because it's so fast. What I mean? And then what they do is they come up with an idea, and it's like, okay, now let's get real guys to come in and actually make it sound good. So that it's a tool, like anything else. So. Yeah, social media is the same way. I think it's awesome. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be working with you.
I'm with you. I mean, I think with as someone who is, as I said, I'm not old, but I'm getting into the gray years. There's a lot of people that are my age and older that refuse to embrace all these different things, and I just. I was lucky that I was put in situations where it was like, oh yeah, I'll do that. And it was just, and again, it was because there's no gatekeeper. Mm-hmm. It's like the easiest thing to just be yourself and reach people. And then you cultivate a crowd in that regard and away you go. So yeah, if it wasn't for social media, it would be, especially if you're doing your own thing, as we talked about. I mean, if you're doing anything that isn't easily, because, especially the record industry, how it got to the point where when there was a record industry about becoming more and more restrictive of genres. Oh, what is this? It's got to fit tidily in this is blues, this is rock, this is country, this is alternative or whatever. And, if you're reaching people directly, it doesn't matter what it is. That was the one thing I realized when we started going on the road. It's like, it's like it's not restricted to being, oh, it's a blues band, we got to play at a blues bar or this, that. It's like, no, people are coming to hear you do your thing. They don't give a shit what you call it.
No, and that's the other thing, chasing the music dream, to be in a big band and tour the world and get a record contract.
Right.
You will be locked into that. You know what I mean? They will categorize you, and they don't want you to step 1 foot out of that.
Right, exactly.
Because they don't know what to do. They're like, well, we've ran all these algorithms. You know, I mean, they're doing everything like, well, you know, that way now. And, you know, the unpredictability of mixing genres is pretty scary to this.
Right. They get so scared.
Exactly. Although, you know, you see, the irony is you see people do it all the time, you know, and it works. But their brains, you know, it's wild. That was the craziest thing about the internet is all these big, and of course now they've caught on, but all these big companies, back in the day when this all first started, I would go to them. I'm like, you know, working with a company or whatever. And I'm like, oh, we're going to stick to Guitar Player Magazine or whatever. And it's like, so let me get this straight. Here's a crowd of, I think, you know, maybe I had 100,000 people. And I'm like, it's 100,000 people. It's me, your product, and a guitar on a screen, singularly focused on that one thing.
Right.
You know, it's not 110 pages. Well, they're like 50 pages now, but in a guitar magazine with 3,000 other ads, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, getting people that are really good in business, sometimes they get locked in their ways like anybody else, you know? And so like that whole aspect of like trying to, even people that you think should know how everything works, they get locked in their ways. And you see it with bands, like a band will break out and then all of a sudden there's like 50 other bands just like that. Exactly. But nobody wanted to give that one band a shot, you know?
Exactly.
What I mean? And then usually it's a smaller person, you know, a smaller record label or whatever, like, yeah, I like this, you know?
Right.
Yeah, it's a trip. And a lot of times, you know, in record companies, they're not in it with like, they're not actually experiencing it out in the real world, you know? So it's all numbers and algorithms and, you know.
Exactly correct.
Yes. What does the AI God say, you know? But yeah, man, this world we live in is amazing. I'm thankful every day all this stuff happened, you know, because here we are talking.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Talking on Google.
As a kid, I mean, this was like science fiction. You know what I mean? Like totally. Talking to somebody on screen in real time. It was like,
have you seen that latest movie that's out? Not the absolute latest movie, but it just went on Netflix called Blackberry, and about the Blackberry phone.
Yeah.
And you're just thinking, I remember when that was the shit. Remember that?
Dude, it took over the entire planet. Everybody was just like, it was the first time everybody was just like, and then everyone's thumbs started hurting and like.
Exactly. And then as soon as the iPhone came out, it was done.
Yeah. Well, again, because, you know, writing's on the wall and people don't want to change. And that happens to companies all the time, you know.
Exactly.
They just don't want to. They're afraid of that next new thing. They're like, oh, we've got this, you know. And it's like, no, you don't.
But it's wild when you think back. It's like, that doesn't seem that long ago. And how the world has completely changed.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Well, I mean, dude, you know, back to AI, you know, 3 years ago, look at what the AI video could do. And now prompting AI video from nothing, you can get insane. You know, that was the other piece. Once I started going down the AI prompting wormhole, they were talking about AI video and everybody's like, AI video sucks. And this one person goes, no, your prompting sucks. So they broke down how they did this, and they started putting in like, you know, you're a world-class cinematographer. And I think they put in the guy that did all the John Wick movies in the style of blank. And then they started talking about camera angles and what lens they wanted it to look at. And they started prompting this thing and in all these different ways, giving it information so it knew what the person really wanted. It wasn't like girl walking on the beach. It was like, you know, girl walking on the beach. It's sunset. There's, you know, talking about the sand, like all this stuff. And then you saw the first incarnation of the video. I was like, that's okay. And then the second one after a couple more prompts. And then he really went into it. And the third one, like really cool prompts. And it's like, oh, wow. Like that was, and then the video came back was like, whoa, like it was a movie looking, you know, and it was just like, holy crap.
Yeah, I get it.
So Yeah. I mean, I guess it's like anything, right? As a guitar player, you're learning different styles. Like I can tell you, like, play something like Hendrix, play something like, Dwayne Allman, like, and it is in you, and you have that ability to draw from all of those licks, and you can come up with something like that. And then you can make it into your own thing too, So I think it's all kind of the same, it's how clearly you're able to communicate something, I think in everything that you do, is the difference, So, yeah.
Well, listen, my friend, thank you so much for taking time. I'm looking forward to being down there in a couple weeks and
heck yeah,
hanging out and making some music and making some footage. I'm in.
Well, and thank you. So Greg has been the first person to allow me the privilege of having somebody play through a cranked Marshall 412 in my back room on his entire course.
Yes.
It was so good. It's wild. I can't wait for everybody to see the course, because it was one of those things where the guy and I filming it were like in the back as he's playing, just laughing because of how easily riffs just fly out of you. But we dumbed you down a little bit, just so the mere mortals feel like they have a chance. So
yes, indeed.
I didn't know Greg was very good about it. I said, we need 3 levels of everything. We need the fresh intermediate player. We need somebody that knows what they're doing, but maybe can't play fast. And then we need full-blown Greg live mode.
Right.
You did it all. I opened the session the other day, and it was like, it's like 40 performances. I was just like, holy crap, this is going to be good.
It's going to be good, doggone it.
Yeah, man.
All right, my friend. Well, you take care. I'll see you soon.
Okay, sounds good. See you. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks once again to our friends at Fishman, and to all you for checking out our show, which we call Chewing the Gristle. We're going to keep on keeping on. See you soon.